They call him the point god, a floor general whose vision sees the game 3 steps ahead. A fierce competitor, a doting father, a savvy businessman, and a living legend in basketball, Chris Paul, as of now, boasts a staggering net worth of $180 million. For nearly 2 decades, Paul has danced through the defenses of the NBA, weaving assists, orchestrating plays, and setting records that only few dare challenge. But his wealth isn't just in millions. It's an influence, leadership, and a legacy still being written on and off the court. Early life, the rise from Winston-Salem. Christopher Emmanuel Paul was born on May 6, 1985, in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. His father, Charles Edward Paul Sr., worked in the car business and coached youth sports. His mother, Robin Jones Paul, was the foundation of their home, instilling values of faith, education, and discipline. Chris and his older brother, Charles C.J. Paul, were inseparable. Whether it was on the blacktop or in the backyard, competition was the norm. But one figure stood larger than life in Chris's eyes: his grandfather, Nathaniel Papa Chili Jones. Papa Chili ran a service station and was a symbol of black entrepreneurship and resilience. When he was murdered during a robbery in 2002, it shattered Chris and inspired him. Just days later, Chris went out and scored exactly 61 points in a high school game, one for every year of his grandfather's life, then intentionally missed a free throw and walked off the court. A moment that would define his legacy: play with purpose, lead with heart. He attended West Forsyth High School, where he was a standout on the court and in the classroom. His brilliance earned him a scholarship to Wake Forest University, a decision that would launch a storied basketball journey. College career: the Wake Forest Wonder. From a moment Chris Paul stepped onto the court at Wake Forest, it was clear he was destined for greatness. In his freshman year, he averaged 14.8 points, 5.9 assists, and led the Demon Deacons to the NCAA tournament. By his sophomore season, he was on every NBA scout's radar, averaging 16.1 points and 6.6 assists, while being named a consensus first-team All-American. But Chris's college days weren't just about points and awards. It was about setting a tone. He showed that leadership was more than barking plays. It was about making every teammate better. He declared for the 2005 NBA draft, leaving Wake Forest as arguably the greatest point guard in school history. Professional career: commanding the court. New Orleans Hornets, 2005 to 2011. Selected 4th overall in 2005, Chris Paul joined the New Orleans Hornets and wasted no time. He averaged 16.1 points and 7.8 assists in his rookie season, earning NBA Rookie of the Year. By 2008, Paul was averaging double-digit assists and leading the Hornets to 56 wins, their best season ever. His playmaking and quick hands on defense made him a perennial all-star and one of the most feared guards in the league. But despite his brilliance, deep playoff success eluded him. Injuries, inconsistent rosters, and brutal Western Conference matchups would haunt his Hornets years. Lob City with the LA Clippers, 2011 to 2017. A controversial 2011 trade landed Paul with the Los Angeles Clippers, where he teamed up with Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan to form the high-flying sensation known as Lob City. CP3 brought structure and identity. He led the Clippers to the playoffs every season, earning All-NBA first-team honors and solidifying his title as the best point guard of the era. But despite the highlights, the Clippers never made it past the second round. Fans wondered, would Chris Paul ever win it all? Houston Rockets, 2017 to 2019. In a bold move, Paul joined forces with James Harden in Houston. In the 2018 Western Conference Finals, they pushed the Golden State Warriors to 7 games. Paul injured his hamstring in Game 5, a heartbreaking what-if moment. Houston would never recover, and after 2 seasons, CP3 was traded again. Oklahoma City Thunder, 2019 to 2020. Many thought Paul was headed for decline when he landed in OKC. But what he did next was stunning. He embraced a mentor role and led a rebuilding Thunder team to the playoffs, stunning the league and proving his leadership was invaluable. Phoenix Suns, 2020 to 2023. In 2020, Chris Paul joined a young Phoenix Suns team. Alongside Devin Booker, Paul turned them into contenders. In 2021, the Suns reached the NBA Finals, Paul's first ever. They fell short to the Milwaukee Bucks, but Paul's performance silenced critics. At age 36, he proved he could still dominate the game. Golden State Warriors and San Antonio Spurs, 2023 present. In 2023, Paul joined the Warriors, a surprising fit that allowed him to play with Stephen Curry. The following year, in a final twist, he signed a one-year deal with the San Antonio Spurs, taking on a mentor role for generational talent Victor Wembanyama. Now 40, Paul continues to influence the game, not just with his passes but with his mind. Personal life, faith, family, and fatherhood. Chris Paul is a man of deep faith and fierce loyalty. He married his college sweetheart, Jada Crawley, in 2011. The couple met at Wake Forest and have 2 children, Christopher II, born in 2009, and Cameron, born in 2012. Chris has often said, "Basketball is what I do, not who I am." He's a devoted Christian, attending church regularly and sharing his faith in interviews and philanthropy. He co-founded the Chris Paul Family Foundation, supporting education, youth empowerment, and social justice. He's also served as president of the NBA Players Association, leading reforms in player rights and mental health awareness. Off the court, CP3 is a businessman, part owner of a professional bowling team, endorses Nike, State Farm, Beyond Meat, co-produced documentaries like The Day Sports Stood Still, House Tour, Elegance Meets Comfort. Chris Paul owns an array of luxurious properties, including Encino Mansion, Los Angeles. In 2020, CP3 purchased a $11.1 million farmhouse-style mansion in Encino, California. The estate includes 12,000 square feet, 8 bedrooms, 10 bathrooms, movie theater, sports court, pool and spa, and a home gym, wine cellar, and a 5-car garage. It's not just a house. It's a sanctuary, a symbol of everything he's built and everything he protects. Car collection, the ride of a champion. Chris Paul's love for cars is well known. His collection features vintage charm and high-end power. 1977 Chevrolet Monte Carlo, his first car, restored to show-level detail. 1971 Chevrolet C10 truck, a tribute to his grandfather, Papa Chili. Mercedes-Maybach S680, luxury at its finest. Cadillac Escalade, spacious, bold, and fit for a family man. Ferrari 458 Italia, because every legend needs speed. Range Rover, Jeep Wrangler, BMW 750 Li, for style, utility, and comfort. Estimated value of the collection? Over $600,000, and counting. As of today, Chris Paul is alive and well, actively mentoring young talent in the NBA and preparing for his post-playing career. There is no cause of death to report, only the continuation of a living legacy. Chris Paul's story isn't just about stats or championships. It's about turning grief into greatness after losing his grandfather, resurrecting franchises and making teammates better, elevating the craft of being a point guard, fighting for players' rights, staying relevant for 20 seasons. He may not have a championship ring, but he has something rarer, universal respect. Whether as a player, father, or mentor, Chris Paul's presence resonates. His basketball IQ, tenacity, and leadership make him one of the most influential players in NBA history. From Winston-Salem Sun to global icon, Chris Paul is proof that greatness is measured not just by rings, but by the fingerprints you leave behind, on the court, in the community, and in the hearts of those you inspire. The story of Chris Paul is not over. In fact, it may just be entering its most powerful chapter.